Welcome students. Our today's class will focus on sound system. We will gradually understand how at different phases of the development of English language different sound changes took place. To understand all these things, we need to have an idea of the phonetics. Phonetics means the study of sound system. How a sound is produced, how it is articulated, and how it is perceived. All these things are studied under the head of phonetics. One almost related term is phonology, but it has a distinctive area of study. It focuses on the selection and organization of sounds in a particular language, you can say. So the area of study of phonology is quite different from phonetics. Here in our study, we will focus on phonetics primarily. So to study phonetics, we have to understand it at three different levels. Acoustic phonetics, it is concerned with sound only. It has nothing to do with how these sounds are produced or perceived. They are only related to the technicalities of sound. Then we have auditory phonetics. Auditory phonetics is concerned with how a particular sound is perceived by the person who is listening to it. Perception, you can say, perception of sound. And then finally, we have the most important level of phonetic study is articulatory phonetics. It is concerned with the production of sound, the articulation of sound. It is concerned with how a particular sound is produced. So, we have three different levels to understand phonetics, to understand the technicalities of sound system used in a particular language properly. And by far the most important one is articulatory phonetics. It tells us how a particular sound is produced in a particular language. To understand articulatory phonetics properly, we need to have an idea of the organs of speech. Actually, we all know that most of the languages of the world require us to exhale air to produce sound. We cannot produce sound, we cannot articulate something generally when we take air in, when we inhale. So this is possible in some exceptional languages such as Sindhi, where we can produce sound while inhaling air, and this is their phonological characteristic as well. So to understand how a sound is produced, we need to understand the function of organ of speech, different organs of speech in that, what role they play and how they affect our sound system. The organs of speech involves uh, vocal cords, velum, and hard palate, T3s, nasal cavity, even teeth and lips, and even tongue, you can say. So all these things can be understood better in a diagram of our organs of speech used in the production of different sounds. So let's have a look at that. Students, you can see this is the diagrammatic representation of our organs of speech. Here we have windpipe, and this place in above the windpipe is called larynx, and we have vocal cords here. This vocal cord is attached on this point and is free on this area. So when the air passes through, it opens up and lets the air pass. So the type of sound, the voicing pattern of sound is largely determined by the movement of vocal cords. Then we move upwards and we have epiglottis, then pharynx, and then this oral tract. Here we have soft palate, we have hard palate, we have T3s, teeth, and lips. So if soft palate, which is also called velum moves slightly downward and gives the space for the air to pass through nasal cavity, we can produce nasal sound. Otherwise, we produce oral sound. So all these different organs of speech play their role in the production of different sounds. We will study how these sounds are produced. These are determined by three different variables that we will see now. As you have just seen in the diagram, and you have understood how these different organs of speech play their roles in the production of a sound, we can now assume on a broader level, and we can just divide the entire sound system on the study of our organs of speech, that these organs of speech can produce two different kinds of sounds: consonants and vowels. When the air that we exhale while producing sound passes unobstructed, then we produce a vowel sound. And if the air comes into certain organs of speech and a kind of friction is created, we produce consonant sounds. So in the production of consonant sounds, we have to take three variables into account. Means consonant sounds can be taken into account, can be described on the ground of three variables. These three variables are voicing of the sound, that depend on the movement of vocal cords. You have just noticed where the vocal cords are placed in our entire diagram of the organs of speech. Then we have manner of articulation. The manner of articulation is decided by the movement of velum. means the movement of, you can say, soft palate. You have noticed where the soft palate is situated, and its movement decides where a sound is nasal or oral. If it gives space to the air to pass through our nasal cavity, the sound becomes nasal, and if the nasal cavity is completely closed, the sound produced will be completely oral. Then we have place of articulation. Place of articulation. It depends on the movement of your tongue and lips. They decide the place of articulation because they play a role in producing friction, and that is why the place of articulation is decided by the movement of lips and tongues and their position, or tongue position as well. So we have these three different variables that account for the production of consonant sounds. In production of vowel sounds, we know that the air passes unobstructed, so we only consider the position of tongue and the shape of your lips, our lips. So that will decide the articulation of vowel sounds. This is the basics of phonetics. I hope you have understood the diagram completely, and now you have an idea of the basics of phonetics. In our subsequent lectures, we will continue on how different consonant sounds and how different vowel sounds are produced, what is their manner of articulation, what is their place of articulation, and how is their voicing of particular sounds. We will consider them in detail in our subsequent lectures. Till then, enjoy your study.